And I am now going to hand over to Brad. Just to be very quick, you'll be aware that I am the managing director of Action Coach Colchester. It gives me great pride to be part of the Action Coach family. Brad is the founder of Action Coach, which is the world's #1 business coaching firm across the globe. There are over 1,000 of us dotted across, I can't remember exactly how many countries it is now, Brad.
We're 81, I believe.
Wow. So 81 different locations, including Action Coach Colchester, which, you know, is my patch, and from a lot of you come from that area, so it's great to have you. But Brad does a lot of these talks, and we're really, really pleased to be able to have Brad here because he's incredibly busy. It seems like the amount of virtual meetings and conferences and things you've been doing online has been phenomenal. So there's been a lot of Zoom or GoToMeetings that you've been involved in. That's right, isn't it, Brad?
Well, let me just give you an idea. Here I am in my home office. This morning I've visited India and Dubai. So, and now I'm in Colchester. So
wow.
Across the world, from India to Dubai to Colchester, and it's not even, what time is it here? It's 9 a.m. Vegas time. So there you go. So across
Fantastic.
the world, and you know, they talk about 80 days. It's like 80 minutes these days. So that's
Absolutely.
basically where we're at.
Absolutely.
So,
and I suppose you could consider Colchester the Dubai of the UK, maybe. I mean, you have been there. You came last year to visit us.
Buddy, there's certain things that I will agree to, and there's certain things that I possibly won't.
Fantastic. Okay, so we are up to quite a number of people here. It's great to have you on here. Please do keep doing your introductions on the webinar chat. But as I said, I am monitoring that, but questions can get lost. So there is a specific Q&A. So anything that you hear that you want to ask about, I'll be facilitating that towards the end. But I'm delighted to have Brad here, and I'm not going to keep you from him any longer. So Brad, the floor is all yours. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Sean, and good morning from me. Good afternoon to all of you, or good evening to all of you. Let's start by looking at where this whole thing is right now. And actually, just as an advance, I want to just, you know, I'm going to talk pretty matter-of-factly today as this is about the economic crisis. I get that there is a human crisis to this, but I'm not an expert in that. I'm an expert in the business stuff. This is my 4th economic downturn running businesses through. And you know, they happen every 7 to 10 years. And it was interesting, towards the end of last year, we were looking at what was it that was going to do the economic downturn on a global shift. And because the US had been an economic boom, Asia economic boom, Europe had been fairly solid, Africa very boom. So, you know, I was sitting down looking at where is this going to change? And we sort of wondered if Brexit was going to tip it. And then we wondered if the US elections were going to tip it. And none of us could have predicted that it would have been, you know, a pandemic that sends this. But unlike the previous ones where, you know, previous downturns have mostly been financially created. So the financially created downturns, like, you know, 2008, the real estate, then the internet bubble, then you go back to the junk bonds, and all of these previous downturns really hit across the board. Whereas this one's very different. This one, and I'll say a third, but it's not exactly that, obviously. I'm in Las Vegas, so we've got more businesses shut down totally than any other group. And so I sit and I look at it and I say, okay, so a third of business approximately are fully shut, just closed down, you know, not doing business at all. Then you got about a third in the middle, and sometimes that's a bigger margin or a bigger group that have found a way to pivot, found a way to do something different, found a way to go virtual, viral, and keep their business in business, or sell something different, or sell something slightly changed, or sell it through a different format. But they've found a way to keep in business. And then at the top end of the scale, we've fully got a third of businesses that are booming. So here's what I'd like you to do in the chat area. Think of at least 1 or 2 industries that you can think of that are booming right now, okay? What are 1 or 2 industries that you can think of that are an absolute boom? I'll give you a couple that I know of. One of our clients, and this is a real interesting one, they're in the model train business. Model trains. And you think about it, Why is the model train business booming right now? They literally cannot keep up with demand. And you sit down and you think, well, it's everyone's at home. What are they doing? The jigsaw puzzle business, can you believe they're sold out? They cannot keep up with the manufacturing of this sort of stuff. So start thinking different. How about another one of our clients? These guys are in the conveyor belt business. They're in boom right now. So don't just think of the basic ones. Start getting to all of the things that you can think of where there is a boom industry right now, because fully a third of businesses are in absolute boom. Homeschooling is in boom. Technology. Can you imagine how many video cameras have been sold in the last 8 weeks? How many new microphones have been sold in the last 8 weeks? How many, see, all these things, computers upgraded, all this stuff. Yeah, hair clippers. Oh my God, how many people have bought hair clippers just to cut their hair at home? How about those digital thermometer things you point at your head? Businesses are booming. So this is why this is a very different economic crisis. Second reason it's very different is the government has stepped up in a way that they've never done in a crisis like this before. You know, the previous crisis, the US government was the biggest one, and they gave out $800 billion in economic aid. So far this time, the US government's at $2.5 trillion in economic aid. That $800 billion in economic aid created the boom that we had from 2012 to 2020. What do you think the economic boom that's going to come from all of this stuff's going to be? Think about the economic boom that is coming massively from all of this stuff. And it's crazy. So we're seeing a V-shaped recovery, okay? And I think the third reason we're going to see a V-shaped recovery is that the US economy is not going to be held down. And the reason I say that is because they've already put $2.5 trillion in. Yesterday, they floated another $3.5 trillion, which that one's not gonna fly. But I believe there will be another economic stimulus in the United States before the election. What people in the UK don't understand is that the US is going into election. And if the US economy gets back in boom, then everyone's economy gets back in boom. And so that's a big part of what we're seeing. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean we don't have to shift and change. The virtualization of the planet has jumped 5 to 10 years. We're 5 to 10 years ahead of where we would have been. Now, virtualization was moving in a direction, especially for the millennial and Gen Z. But what we've seen now is, you know, most of you probably related to someone who would never have bought stuff online before and now they are, or who would never have used Zoom before and now they are. And boom, we've virtualized the world to such a degree. And that's going to make such a massive shift. Twitter came out yesterday saying their staff never have to return to an office. Like, you think about that. What is that going to do to the commercial real estate industry? What's it going to do? How many people are going to get home renovations done in the next 12 months, 2 years to add a home office to their house? How many people are going to add home schooling session areas in their home? There's so much going to boom out of this thing. Go back to 2008 and remember this. In fact, just can you think of a company that was created after that 2008 that was, that built massive and sold for billions? I'll give you a couple of, actually type some in. If you've got some that you can think of, type them in. But I want you to start thinking about what comes from times like this. Let me just give you a couple of examples. How about WhatsApp? WhatsApp was created from the 2008 crisis. I think they started in 2009. How about Instagram? How about, I mean, you just got to start thinking. Uber. How about Airbnb? That came to 2010, somewhere in that vicinity. You've got to start understanding what the creative aspects of this stuff is. The things that people would never have done that now they're doing en masse is going to be phenomenal. So that's where we got to start really thinking. Deliveroo, there you go. All of those delivery companies that started up and all this sort of thing. You look at Instacart, they just passed $1 billion in revenue. It's just home delivered food, $1 billion in revenue. How the heck did they get there so fast? And that's what we're seeing time and time again. So, you know, WhatsApp, what did it sell for? $17 billion, several years into its creation. So think about where we're going and think of this as opportunity. See, this is not an economic crisis. This is economic transformation. It is a transformation of the way the world is going to be doing business. And by that, I mean simple things like you guys can talk about, okay, we're in Colchester. No, you're not. You're not in Essex. Where are you? You are in the world right now. Geography has disappeared in business today. If you used to worry about geography, it's gone. gone. People will buy from anywhere in the world, anytime that they want. And that's a big part of the success factor of where we're going. So let's talk about some things we got to do before we get to the question segment. Number one thing that I've been teaching people you got to do is your communication must get much greater right now. You've got to be far better at communication, far more informative. You got to communicate more often, especially with your team. If you got a team, they know that if you not give them something to focus on, then they go to fear. They go to worry. You've got the vision, the goals, where your company is going, all of that stuff. Turn the fear into a focus, and you will get there with your people. But you got to communicate more often, and more often. You cannot be slow in this thing. A leader must be seen today. A leader must be out front. A leader must be doing all of the things they need to do to be seen as a leader in amongst their people. They need to be out front. Video is a huge part of leadership today. Whereas before we didn't worry about it, it's got to be there. And don't worry about high production value. Don't worry about all that stuff. Just sincere, great content, great messages out there into the marketplace. Hey, Sean, can you make sure my video on the marketing one, which I did like 2 or 3 weeks ago, if either you can teach that or if you can just give people a link to my version of that, would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. I will get the link out to them.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube, I'm pretty sure. So if we take a look at where your communication needs to be, what leaders do in this time is they make certain that people feel confident. They make certain that people feel good and that they understand that, yeah, it's a tough time, but we're going to get through this thing. I remember when I sat down with all of my people in the first part of this whole thing and just said to them, well, listen, I don't know how we're going to get through this, but I know we're going to get through this. We're going to survive this thing. And if we're lucky, we'll find a way to do even better out of this thing than we did beforehand, if we're lucky. Because every economic transformation sees some people doing great. Like some of your competitors aren't on this webinar. They're not here. They're not learning how to do this stuff. So you've got to be focused on that. Be the leader, be out in front, and look for the opportunity. Now, if you don't have a survival plan, you better talk to Sean tomorrow, okay? If you don't, even this afternoon, email him now if you don't have a survival plan, because we got to make sure that's in play. But then you got to turn to Thrive. Sean, you'll make sure if anyone needs a survival plan, you'll work with them for free for that if they don't have a survival plan yet?
Yeah, absolutely. We've worked with over 100 so far in the last 8 weeks. So yeah, happy to keep going.
Brilliant, brilliant. So if you don't have one, do that. Now, if you want to go into Thrive, Sean, you better charge them. If they're going into Thrive, if you've got survival and now you want to make extra out of this, then we're going to make sure that you come on board as a client. We're going to help you do that because there's so much that you can do to be thriving at this point. Now, I say use the telephone in this time or Zoom. Do not be doing emails and stuff like that with people. Communicate with them directly. I know I picked up the phone and rang every single employee in every single company where this thing first started. I made sure I spoke to every single employee in my companies and just said to them, listen, I don't know how you're doing, but listen, we're going to get through this. I personally spoke to every single one of them. I personally spoke to every landlord in every one of my companies. I personally spoke to every single supplier, every banker, every accountant, every attorney. I had my assistant just line me up and just give me the list. And I called everyone. Now, most of them I end up leaving messages for, but I got messages back or texts back or emails back saying, thanks for thinking of me, doing that sort of stuff. It's a human problem first and a business problem second. So make sure the humans, every single one of them, know that you're thinking of them and know that you're there and know that what you're doing. And, you know, I told all my landlords, I said, listen, I don't know if I'm going to need assistance from you, but if I do, I will reach out to you. And they were like, Brad, you're the first person to call us. If you do need assistance, make sure you do call me. If you need help, let me know. And so everybody respects that sort of thing. Communicate first. Don't wait for them to come to you. Go to them first and foremost. Now, why is that important? Well, when you go into massive change, and any of you that haven't read, what's that little book called? My Iceberg is Melting. You haven't read them, either that or Who Moved My Cheese. They're both very good books, and they'll take like half an hour to an hour to read. Who Moved My Cheese and My Iceberg is Melting. They're great change management books, okay? But what happens when people get into that first stage of change, and you've seen this in the marketplace, and they go into anger and frustration, and then depression kicks in. Well, my job and what Sean does with everybody is leap you straight from shock and denial to problem solving. Leap you straight from there into let's get on with this sort of thing. I know the first thing I said to all my coaches is make sure we know everyone's finances. What are they doing financially? What is the real scenario? Because people were like, oh, we're going to die. Our business is under. We've lost everything. And then you sit down and you do their finances with them and they say, listen, we're going to lose about $4,000 a month. And they're like, okay, what do we got to do to either save $4,000 a month or find $4,000 a month? What are the government programs? What can we do there? And all these simple things. Once you have the facts, you can make decisions and go to problem solving. And so that's the big thing. But here's your job. Your job is to get your people into problem-solving mentality. So you got to give people a problem to solve. You got to give them a focus, give them something, be the leader, and actually give them something to focus on to solve a problem. What can you do? You can do this. Okay, great. Get it done. Next one, changing your business model. Now, I've seen that most businesses have had to make small pivots, like lots and lots of very small changes, lots and lots of tiny changes just to keep and survive. Some businesses have had to just change their entire business. One of our clients that in the steel business, right? They're in construction. They create mezzanine floors in commercial spaces, office buildings, warehouses, and also in some people's homes. Where they were, they got told they're no longer allowed to trade. They're not allowed to do business. They were made non-essential. And it's like, dang, what are we going to do? And one of the guys in there was a gym guy. And he said, listen, you know what? I'm trying to buy weights. We cannot buy weights. We got all the steel here. Why don't we just make some new molds and create weights? And so they became a barbell, dumbbell weights business. And overnight, they had a massive new business that paid for them, everybody staying in business. It kept everybody making money. They have a wholesale, they have a retail website set up, and boom, total new business. And funnily enough, they're going to keep that business after now that they're allowed to go back to business doing construction. They're keeping that business, and all the staff are going to have a shareholding in that business. Kind of a wonderful thing. Now, if you are going to change your business model, there's 4 things I want you to look at. And these 4 things, if you haven't read it yet, this one back here, Pulling Profits Out of a Hat. Jump on Audible, grab it on Audible, grab it on Amazon. It's an ebook. You can get the heavy book. This one's almost 3 pounds. 4 things we got to look at if we're going to change the strategy in our business. Opportunity size. Never go to a strategy that has a small business opportunity, okay? Always go to something that can make you $1 billion. If it can't make you $1 billion, you don't want to go into that business. Marketability. Is it easy sold? Does it sell itself? Like those guys, they went into the barbell business. How come? Sold itself. Very easy. I look at all 9 of my companies right now, and only one of them did we have to shut down. It was a restaurant. It's in the Wynn Casino here, and the casinos were fully shut down, so we just had to shut. 7 of our businesses we've pivoted to keep going and be either at the same level or a little bit up or a little bit down. And one of them, our commercial cleaning business that we pivoted to full disinfectant cleaning systems, that one is booming. It's absolutely booming right now. We made a specialty going for high-rise apartment buildings where all of the common areas need disinfectant cleaning at least once, preferably 2-3 times a day in many of the areas. And so, we have all of that sort of stuff going. Now, I'll come back to the formula for change in just a minute. Third area is leverage. Get a customer once, keep them coming back. Build a business where it's subscription-based, where they come every month, they come every week, they come every day. Build something where the customers continuously keep coming back. Scalability, make it scalable. In fact, I'll give you an example of that. One of our businesses is a food truck business. And spring for us is massive. All of the festivals all across America, all of the concerts, all of the outdoor events. We make half of our annual revenue in spring. 3 months, we do half our annual billings. Guess what? We not only went from having half of our billings in spring, we went to having 0 billings in spring. Absolutely nothing. And it's like, dang, how do we do this? Because, every weekend we were busy and now we have nothing. So it's like we had to pivot and we had to change. So we went to, at the time, 8 weeks ago when we made the pivot, no one could get groceries. And we said, you know what? We can get food because we're a wholesaler. We can get as much as we want. So what do we need to do? We went into the making food for people business, just family meals, bulk family meals. And from a scale point of view, I said to the team, well, what are we going to do menu-wise? And they said, well, we can't do the whole menu if we're going to try and do massive numbers out of our commercial kitchen, because normally got all the trucks to do the massive numbers. And we're like, okay, how do we do this? And they said, let's just do 1 dish a day. So, like Tuesdays is tacos and Fridays is fish fry. And so it got to be scalable because we paired it back to one item that we could scale and do massive numbers in, rather than trying to do, every item and just go through Google or go through Deliveroo or any of those sorts of things. So you got to look at those 4 areas if you want to change. Now, my change formula, D times V plus F, has to be greater than R. D stands for dissatisfaction. If there's no dissatisfaction, there won't be change. In a normal economy, you have to push the dissatisfaction. In this economy, you don't. People are dissatisfied immediately. V stands for vision. You've got to give your people that vision. If you want them to change, you got to give them the vision of where you're going and what you're going to achieve. First steps, F stands for first steps. Again, you've got to give them the first steps. You've got to train them, retrain them, get them going, push them down that road of the first steps. All that's got to be greater than resistance. Usually resistance to change is high. In a pandemic, resistance to change drops dramatically. And so we're pretty lucky in that if you can give them the vision and give them the first steps, you're overcoming their resistance and using that dissatisfaction that's already there in the marketplace. So all of that comes down to this. If virtual is the new normal, we've got to get a handle on technology. Absolutely, that's a given. But what we've got to do mostly is look at the human management of this whole thing. How do you manage people when they're not in the same office? How do you manage people when you can't see over their shoulder as to what's happening or not happening? How do you manage people when they're used to having human interaction by going to work? Work is, for many people, work is their number one social interaction in their life. They see more people at work than they do anywhere else. They go home, they don't actually see a lot of people at home. They use their Facebook and use all that sort of stuff to be on Insta and have connectivity to other humans. Well, you've got to manage that whole aloneness feeling, especially for the extroverts, okay? Introverts are kind of like, this is cool. I don't need to worry about this stuff. This is great. I don't have to see humans. I don't have to see other people. Whereas the extroverts, you've got to manage that. So what does that look like? Well, first thing, the meetings that you do are about community and communication. The meetings are no longer just about let's solve a problem. The meetings now, the huddles that you have are about building community as well, about making sure people feel connected, make sure that they are humans interacting with humans and having conversations that are human conversations, not just work conversations, okay? Making certain that that water cooler conversation does actually still happen so people feel connected to each other and they want to work together and they feel that level of pride in being a part of that team. Second thing we got to look at is the level of communication that happens in that and making sure everyone participates, because there's certain people who dominate Zoom meetings. You got to make sure it's not just the dominators that are talking. Next, we got to look at reporting and planning. Planning is now, in a virtual world, planning is a daily thing. Now, we've always done that at Action Coach in all of my companies, but it is vital in a virtual world that your planning becomes daily. So at the end of every single day, every single person writes a list, writes their plan of what they got to do the next day. They take a photo of it, text it to their boss. That next morning, we have a huddle and everyone goes through their list. So everyone tells their list to everyone else on the team. So it's like a communication and community. Oh, what are you doing today? What are you doing today? We get to know what everybody's doing for the day. It's only 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes, because that's in the small direct report teams. Then at 1 o'clock every day, we have a big team meeting for a half hour. And literally it's what are the wins of the day? What's everyone doing today? And then we do silly things like, what's your favorite restaurant? Everyone tells their favorite restaurant, you know, and kind of what's your favorite movie? Those sorts of crazy things just to build community and keep people connected with other human beings. And then at the end of the day, reporting wise, every person on every team in every company has 6 goals for the day. So at the end of the day, they report in their 6 goals in a group huddle. And boom, we've got this thing sitting there where everybody is literally building community, building communication. That's what we got to make sure we're doing. But it's daily now. It's not weekly. It's not monthly. That's what's going to happen. Why are we doing all this? Because we need momentum. We need, as restrictions ease and we come back into this thing, what we've got to do is be on an upswing. We cannot be on a downswing. We cannot still be furloughed. We can't be waiting around. We've got to be opening fast. We've got to be opening strong. And that to me is one of the most important aspects of what we need to learn about this thing. Because the dive that happened, or the potential dive that happened, turned into a survival mode. And it's kind of like, it's a survival quarter. It's like 90 days of survival, 90 days of getting back on the horse. And then we got the last 90 days of the year to make that money and to make that profit. And if we're not ready to run, if I put it to you this way, you've got to be looking at the speed with which you come back. Hang on, let me go back. There we go. You got to be looking at the speed with which you come out of this thing, because if you get caught flat-footed, your competitor steals your customers, and vice versa. If you got competitors who aren't on this webinar, who aren't doing things like we're doing right now, who are not preparing for this, who don't have a plan to open up fast, who don't have that. And I'll give you some examples of things like my restaurant. We're looking at reopening and we're saying, okay, what is going to be the difference? Well, our door, got to change the doors. We can't have doors that people have to put their handles on and open the door. Dang, we got to put in automated doors everywhere. Menus, people won't want to be touching menus as much, so we've gone and put QR codes so everyone can scan and the menu pops up instantly on their phone. You know, there's so many things. We've given them the ability to order from their phone. We order drinks from their phone. We've automated. We've virtualized. We've done so much. Our kitchen, we've had to move our kitchen around. And how do we have 6 feet between our staff? All that sort of stuff. So much that it's just crazy what we've got to look at. How do we make money when we know we're going to open with 50% of seating, not 100% of seating? All these things. Then I'll get to the marketing of it all in a moment, but you've got to be looking at it. I was talking with one of our clients the other day, literally in the hairdressing business. They're just reopening now, and they've got 4 extra staff. They had to open with extra people. Why? They didn't want any hairdresser taking phone calls or doing cash registers or any of that sort of stuff. No hairdresser should be sweeping the floor. They just need to be cutting 12 hours a day straight. Just go, 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 go. You know, they got to make back that extra 8 weeks of money that they've lost out on, and they've just got to keep going for it. So, you know, here we are, open fast, open strong is a very important aspect behind that. So, most of you are in the warm-up phase. Some of my businesses right now are in this sprint because we've already opened and we're sprinting, trying to keep up with what's going on out there. My commercial cleaning business, oh my goodness, we've had to learn how to virtually recruit, virtually train, virtually run every dang thing. And we've increased our staffing numbers by 3 times what they were 8 weeks ago. Our business is in sprint mode like nothing on earth. We are racing through this thing. But most of us are in warm-up mode. We're getting ready to reopen, and that to me is a very important aspect. Yeah, take a screenshot of this. I'm sure, Sean, you're recording this. You'll send a copy of this to everyone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody that registered will be getting a copy.
Perfect. Excellent, excellent. So if can you also make sure if they haven't had my 10-day free training, they get a link to that as well? Because the Survive and Thrive free training, I'm going to make sure everyone's got that if they don't have it already. So yep, as you get through this, gang, we've got to make certain that, because coming out of shutting down is easier than opening up. Think about it that way. Shutting down was easier than opening up will be. So how do you get your customers back? How do you get your staff back in? All those sorts of things. And the opportunities that are going to come with it are going to be massive if you are right. Now, marketing-wise, let me touch on this simple point. You cannot market the way you used to market anymore. You cannot say the same things you used to say. You cannot be advertising with the same ads you ran before this thing. Everything has shifted. The psyche of humans has shifted. The psyche of people has changed. What's appropriate in this world is different to what was appropriate 8 weeks ago. So you got to be certain that you've changed up the message in your marketing. Let me give you a simple example of that. You don't see supermarkets running ads saying, you can buy this product for this price right now. Here's how you get this cheap and that sort of thing. No, you see them run an ad saying, thanks to our staff for working hard through this thing. You know, thanks to our truck drivers for getting the material to us. Does that make sense? You're not seeing that. I saw one the other day, or even for us at Action Coach. Our marketing used to be about how we can help you grow your business and how we can help you build a business that works so you don't have to, and build a business that makes money whether you show up or not. We've had to shift that into, we're here to help every business that wants to survive and every business that wants to thrive. We've had to shift our message because there is more fear, there is more doubt, there's more worry in society. You've got to change your marketing. Testimonials are more important now than ever, especially video testimonials. Ratings are more important now than ever. Reviews are more important now than ever. Video of how to use your product, how to buy your product, all the things. You being an expert, you've got to be doing more webinars, more seminars, more Facebook Lives, Insta Lives, LinkedIn Lives. You'll be doing more of that than you've ever done before showing people how to buy your product, how to use your product, how to, that you are the expert in that area. I know our commercial cleaning business, one of the reasons it went through the roof is we started doing videos. We started doing interviews. We were on TV everywhere. How to clean this, how to clean that, how to do this, showing videos of our staff doing this cleaning. Our staff are all in full-on suits as if we're in hazmat gear, cleaning these places and using the right, and all of our brand, all the products are our brand products, and boom, 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 boom. But we're teaching that out there so everyone sees us as the expert, and boom, they want to hire us. Why do you want us? Because we're the expert in this thing. You got to be out there, out there, out there. Marketing has got to be there. Virtual marketing, viral marketing. And remember this about marketing today. And again, Sean will send you the link to that other one that I did. Remember this about marketing today. It's not about what you say. It's about how many other people say it about you. It's about how many other people share your post, how many people comment on your post, how many people say things about you. See, I'll give you a simple example. I want to teach you a very simple lesson here. Everyone just take a screenshot at some point, whether it's just me or whether it's the video or something. Take the screenshot now or take a photo of it with your phone and post it up to your favorite medium, whether you're a LinkedIn person or an Insta or a Face or whatever your favorite medium is, right? Now, here's your challenge. Create a comment that everyone else wants to comment back to you. See how many comments. Yeah, tag me in it, tag Sean in it, but create a comment that sees how many people can come back. At the end of the week, Sean's going to see who got the most comments on that. And Sean, you can give him one of my books or give him something, whoever got the most. In fact, the thing that you win the most is that you got the most comments. So therefore you got interactivity levels up. And that's a very important aspect of it. But you got to be creating stuff now that people want. And the mood of society changes daily right now. The mood of the society, and you got to capture that. That's what social media, the idea is to capture the mood of the market right now. When you sell a product, capture the mood of the market right at this exact moment. What are they looking for? What are they doing? I did one the other week that, where I saw a lot of people beating on companies for marketing. It's like, don't attack companies that are marketing right now. They're not trying to be insensitive. They're just trying to keep the lights on. They're just trying to pay their bills. And boom, that hit the market. And everyone was like, wow, that's exactly what. I did a video the other day that was about feeling frustrated and out of control and stuff. And boom, it hit the market. It hit it and went viral because it hit the market with the exact emotion that the market is feeling at that point in time. And that's what our marketing has got to be. It's got to be that. And there's so much more marketing than you've ever done. Don't think though, and this is where people get all worried. They're like, well, I can't put too much on social media. No, the algorithms do not feed you to people that don't want to see you. The algorithms will not serve you to people that don't want to see you. I know for us, and I run all 6 major mediums. So, as major mediums that suit my target audience: Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, YouTube, my blog is very important, and Twitter. I run all 6 mediums, and it's got to be slightly different on all 6 mediums. Go and watch the other video for that one. Sales has done one or two things right now. Either it's sped up dramatically because you got something that people urgently need, and so they don't even negotiate price. Like our commercial cleaning business, no one even negotiated price. They're just like, yes, I need it now. Can you do it? Yes, I can do it. Okay, great. You're hired. How much is it? This much. Okay. It's that speed. On the other hand, because of the fear and worry and doubt in society right now, you'll see it slowing down. If you like, let's say before you used to be able to do a sale in 2 steps. Now it's probably going to take 3, 4, 5 steps. You're going to have more video testimonials, more communication, more steps, because when fear and worry are in society, we slow down our purchasing habits. That's what happens naturally. So you've got to get to a lot more asking questions, a lot more being there to help people. You can't hard sell. You've got to be, instead of sell and push, it's now ask and help. It is still selling though. You're still going to ask for the sale, and don't be, I've seen too many businesses that are all scared at the moment to sell and market. And it's like, no, you got to be out there. You're helping people right now. Whatever you're selling is helping them get through this. So don't be afraid to sell. Be confident in your sales right now. Be okay with that. You have the right to sell right now. You have the right to be calling on customers. It's not a bad thing. Do it, and do it now, because you've got to You know, you got to pay the bills too. Everyone has that right. So keep doing it. Selling on purpose, meaning be there to help. Don't be there to just flog stuff. Be there to help. Build a lot of relationships right now. I think that's a big thing that we're doing, is we're seeing a lot of more relationships being built, and a lot of people, like Sean just mentioned, he's helped 100 businesses for free in the last 6 weeks. 8 weeks, sorry, in the last 8 weeks. Why? Because we're building relationships right now. If these businesses don't survive, then the economy doesn't survive. We got to make sure everyone gets through this economy. Now, repeat business, I'll stick with this one real strong, and ultimately building loyalty with customers right now. If I can give you a simple example, in our commercial cleaning business, we have a lot of gymnasiums as clients, and they're all shut, right? They have no option but to be closed. The government told them. And so what we looked at was, well, okay, how do we help these guys and gals? And we just said to them, listen, we're going to keep coming in every week or every 2 weeks. We're just going to clean your place. If you can pay us, great. If you can't pay us, great. If you can pay us half, that would be fantastic. We'd love if you could pay us half and at least cover our costs of doing this stuff for you, so we can stay in business and be here when you come back. And there's one guy who owns 21 gyms, and we took care of him. We told him, we'll take care of everything for you. We'll do what needs to be done. Well, a week or 2 later, his brother-in-law happens to manage like 7 or 8 high-rise towers of apartments. And this guy calls us and says, listen, can you clean my brother-in-law's apartment buildings? They need all of the central areas, the door handles, all of the elevators, all this stuff. They need it all cleaned and full disinfectant every day. And we said, absolutely, we can. We got that contract purely because we took care of that guy. You know, and that's what this market is all about. People are judging who's helping them and who's not. People are looking for where the loyalty is. And from a loyalty, if you want to learn that more, read my book. What's it called? That one's Instant Repeat Business. Actually, jump on Amazon, order all my books. Just order them all. There's 17 of them. Get on there, order them all right now, or Audible, whichever one you want to, whichever way you like to do it. Now, this point is really important in customer service, as well as in marketing and sales, I guess. You got to make everything visible, because in an invisible world, when people are buying, that handwritten note, the postcard you sent to someone, is more important than an email you sent. So don't send an email to say thanks. Send a handwritten personal note. Put a postage stamp on it and actually send it to people. If you want to, reward people, do a gift of some sort. Give them something. You got to turn that virtual world into a visible thing, because it's too easy to assume that just because people saw it on that, saw it on a Zoom, that's okay. No, you want something physical, tangible. You've got to do that in this world. That's got to be a big point about it. Critical non-essentials. One of my greatest lessons about customer service came from my dentist. His name is Dr. Paddy Lund. You can look him up, paddylund.com, Paddilund, paddylund.com. His book called Critical Non-Essentials, I think, is brilliant around customer service, where what he talked about is it's not essential to do these things, but it's critical if you want to be judged by the way you do business. And he's a dentist, so he sells pain for a living. So you got to sit down and think about, what are you doing to make sure? And so he looks at how do you get those critical points of communication. Like, you go into his dental practice, you don't smell fluoride and all of that stuff. What you smell is buns. They bake sugarless muffins on site and give a little bag to every customer as they leave, because they want that smell. Like, it's not essential, but it's critical to be doing these great things. These sorts of customer service things have got to become physical and visible in that people. And the last point there, I've always taught this, that repeat business equals profit. If you don't have repeat business, you don't have much profit. If you want profit, you got to have repeat business. Now, getting your people to perform right now, management. I already touched on management being that day-to-day thing, but if I give you the 2 points of management, my 2 most important points of management, and actually, Sean, there was a video I did on Facebook, got to be a couple of years back, buddy. I'm hoping you can find it and get it to everyone. It was management versus leadership. Okay. It might be on my YouTube channel as well. Management versus leadership. If you can get that link for everybody. Management is 2 things. It's about 20 minutes, and I don't have that time today, so I would like everyone to get that knowledge though. Management is about competency and productivity. Competent people, productive people. So productivity comes from measurement, reporting, okay? That daily reporting, that daily measurement that we talked about earlier. Productivity is a big part of it. Competency is the second part. So what you're going to see when people go virtual is you're going to see a lack of competency showing up. Whereas before you could oversee or overhear what was going on and you could fix it, that doesn't happen now. So that lack of competency, there's got to be more training, more management, more coaching, more mentoring of people to get them up to the standard. You got to set new standards in this world. People have more time because they're not having to walk to the photocopier. They're not having to drive to work. They're not having all of this. So they're doing more. You should be expecting better standards. And that's where we set those 6 goals with everyone every day in our companies to make sure they're at performance levels. So fear into focus, as we already discussed. Now, leadership, if management's competent, productive people, leadership, in my opinion, is also 2 things, and that is passionate, focused people. So the focus we've already discussed, give them goals, give them something to be measured on every day, give them productivity by doing that stuff. So make sure that sort of stuff is there. But the second part of leadership is that you've got to give them passion. And that's where your leadership, you being out in front, you communicating, you being that person that is the leader is an important part of it. Next thing with your people, we've had to move, and especially in reopening, we've had to move some people away. Okay, no, that was your job. That job's disappeared right now. We're not doing those things. Like some of our companies have big events teams. Like one of our training companies, literally it's full on, well, sorry, the events segment of our company is gone. So either you change jobs and become this, or we don't have a job for you no more. And so we've had to retrain people and move them across to other things. One of the big things I'm saying from this is keep your people if you can. Do not furlough them. Do not get rid of them if you can. Keep them. Why? Because when people come back, when your customers come back, they want a familiar face, a familiar name, a familiar voice. They want to be doing business with the people they used to do business with. And they're going to respect the fact that you kept those people and kept them on board. If you do, by the way, if you do have to fire people, get rid of people all at the one time. Do not drip fire them. Don't do one this week and 1 month and do another one in a couple of weeks. Then everyone starts worrying about it. Mindset. What are your daily rituals? What are you doing to keep your mind strong? Is it exercise? Is it music? Is it study? Is it something? You got to learn the rituals. In fact, in my 10-day training, I did a whole day on this. So Sean, when you give everyone that link, we'll make sure that day 9, I believe, was the whole daily rituals and how you can keep a strong mental. It's tough during this time, especially for every business boss, every leader of a team. You know, you've got to do stuff, though, to keep your brain sane and not fall into the whole, you know, Netflix, chill and get fat and drink too much and eat too much stuff. You got to stay strong during this. You should end up fitter at the end of this thing than you were when you entered. It's either fitter or fatter. You can choose. And fitter and fatter is mentally, not just physically. Fitter and fatter is spiritually. Fitter or fatter is relationships. Are you fitter or fatter by the time you get out of this thing? The opportunity, not crisis. I think I've touched on that a few times. This is a transformation, not a crisis. It's an economic transformation. Keep that in mind. Always be looking for the small wins. As I said, we do a daily huddle, 1 o'clock every day in all of our companies that literally is just the daily huddle about what are we going to do? What are the wins? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I do not watch the news. In the beginning, I was watching it every day, and I found myself getting to a point of frustrated and depressed and wanting to even argue with people on Facebook and stuff. I was like, oh, my God, how stupid am I? I'm arguing with someone on Facebook. Just mute them for 30 days, for goodness sake. No, stop watching the news. And amazingly enough, I started feeling good about life all of a sudden again. Step 10, it's 90 days to survive and 90 days to thrive. So get your 90-day survival plan. If you don't have it already, get with Sean today. 90-day thrive plan. How are you going to reopen? How are you going to do that stuff? See, when you reopen, I want you to think about it. Reopen with a bang. Launch this thing. Do a ribbon cutting to reopen. I want to see you launch it as if we've never been in business. Do a survival ribbon cutting. Hey, we're back. We're doing this. We got through it. We're open again. Throw the party, and a party a week. Do it every day for a month. Just, you know, the survival party is continuing today. Survival party this, survival party that. You know, virtually invite the mayor to your reopening. Do you know what I mean? You got to build this, reopen with a virtual party, reopen with whatever you can do to launch. Don't just open up quietly. Launch it back out there. Get big. Work with Sean, work with the team. Make sure that you've got a plan to do that. Number 11, I'm going to get to questions after this one. So if you got questions, please type them in so Sean can ask me all the questions you all have in the time that we do have remaining today. Very simply put, there is going to be massive opportunity coming out of this. Your competitors that didn't do what you're doing right now, your competitors that went into full furlough mode, their customers are up for sale. Their business will probably be up for sale. There'll be better businesses in other markets. You won't just have to stay where you're at. You'll be able to buy companies in all sorts of places. Right now, I'm already negotiating. I started negotiating 3 days ago with a little company down in New Zealand. Phenomenal technology that they've just developed, and boom, I'll buy that company, and hey presto, we'll run that thing out. I'm looking right now, real estate deals. Oh my goodness, there's going to be some real estate deals. My wife is negotiating right now to buy an online virtual schooling system. You know, we wanted to do it for our kids. And I said, oh honey, don't just subscribe to it. Buy the whole dang company. Let's do that. Let's buy it and let's be in that business. You know, what are you going to do with this sort of thing? There's so much opportunity. The downward, and I want to explain this thing about the economic cycles. We had such a massive boom to the end of 2020 economically on a global scale, right? Don't just think of little pockets, think of it on a global scale. Now most economic downturns, it takes 6 to 12 months for everyone to even recognize that we're already in a downturn. But 2008, it was 2006 when that downturn started, 2007. As soon as they were offering 100, 105, 110% mortgages, it was dead. The market was done, right? And all of the smart people like, cash it up, cash it up, cash it up. Boom, the market hit and died from 08 to 2010. Well, this time around, everyone knew it was dead on day 5 or day 6 of this thing. It didn't take 6, 12 months for people to agree that we're dead. Everyone agreed, boom, we are down. It's gone. The stock market's plummeted, all that sort of stuff. And so that plummet is about a 90-day plummet. Now, we're going to have about a 90 days to get back out of this thing, and then we're going to have another 90 days to get back on track to be in a regular business. Now, most people are saying it's going to take longer than that, and they are correct for certain industries, not for the market as a whole. If I was an aircraft industry right now, I'd be sucking it up because I know that that's going to be a long-term one. If I was Disneyland right now, dang, I don't know how Disneyland's going to do. But if they reopen with a launch and do that stuff, I think Disneyland could be back at it in a big way because there's enough people that are kind of like, I'm done. There's enough people that have researched this pandemic and they're all become experts. Woohoo! Good job. You're an expert too on Facebook and Instagram. Fantastic. I love to see it. 2 months ago, you're an expert on some other stupid stuff. You know, these people are sick of it. They're ready to go. They don't care. They're like, okay, this is a heavy flu. And there's enough of those people that are going to go to Disneyland. Good. I'm probably not going to go in this first little bit, but we'll see what happens, you know? So time for questions, time for this. But make sure you have your 90-day plan. If you do not have a Thrive 90-day plan, if you do not have a plan to come out of this doing more money than you went into it, you need to sit with Sean immediately. 5 things you're going to do based on today. So go back through your notes right now. And what are 5 things you're going to do based on this session here right now? What are 5 things that today and tomorrow you will put into practice? Let's do the questions. Sean will follow up with y'all. Let's get as many questions as we can. Sean, do you want to bring yourself live and start asking away, my friend?
Absolutely, will do. Just there I am. Okay, so good to see you all live. Hope you can hear me okay, Brad.
I can't, buddy. It's good to see you. You have the coronavirus haircut too. It's like the
I have. I know. Look at that. I mean,
I went to the bowl cap a week back, or two or 3 weeks back. It's like, okay, I'm not even bothering trying to do my hair at this point. It's done.
I know. I think I'm going to move into the hair gel industry, to be honest, because the amount that I need to keep this under control is ridiculous. So we have a few questions here. Let's start just on the topic of reviews, Brad. There's been a question about where are the most effective places for customers to leave reviews. Have you got any ideas about both the places that are good, but also how do we get our customers to do reviews? I'm really curious about how you use the wording and the phrasing to probably get them to actually do it.
So first thing that I'll say is this. What you got to look at first is that people will leave reviews. Dang, I'm dark. Let me just turn my lights on up in here. The first thing you got to say is that you got to get people to leave reviews on the format that they are used to using. So if people are on Facebook, they'll leave a review on Facebook. If people are on YouTube, get them to use that. Now, we use 2 main formats to do that other than the exact one that they do. We use Bird Eye. I like Bird Eye because it is one where we get permission we can edit it. To them, it looks like they're writing a review on Google. And the other thing from Bird Eye, we can push it to every format. So we can push it out to all the formats from there. The other we use is Trustpilot, because people trust Trustpilot. They've used it for other people. See, it's the format that they trust. Now, the way we get people to do it is you ask them in a moment of emotional connectivity. You ask them when something good is happening. So if I'm in the middle of, like right now, everybody on here today, I want you to go to your favorite medium and write 5-star reviews for Brad Sugars. Not 4-star. I don't want any of that crap. I want a 5-star review from you, and I want it today because I've just added value to you. Does that make sense to everyone? So, yeah, that would be the primary thing. Emotional connectivity is when you ask them to do it. But also ask them to do it on every piece of communication. It should be in your tag of your emails. It should be on everything. Please leave us a review. Please review us on Trustpilot. Please do this. Please leave us a review. We send them to Bird Eye every single time. And I'll give you a simple one with Bird Eye. We had one of our customers who wrote us a review, and they love us, and they gave us 1 star on Bird Eye. And we're like, what the heck? Now, if that had been published, we couldn't have changed that. But we went back to them and said, hey, you gave us 1 star. They said, yeah, 1's the best, isn't it? No, 5 is the best. Come on. And so they changed it and went back and did that stuff. Hey, I'm seeing one question there from what do you look for when buying a business?
Yeah, absolutely.
My whole book, Billionaire in Training, is on that subject. So read that book, Billionaire in Training. It's on that whole subject of what are my rules for buying a business.
Fantastic.
That's another one, buddy, on the list.
So there's a question about seeing more people networking, collaborating. Do you think that virtual meetings are now going to become the norm, where people come together, or we're going to go back?
We will go back to live, but that'll be slowly. But virtual meetings will now happen forever. It's going to be a way. The world has shifted, and people are now okay doing Zoom meetings for stuff, whereas they wouldn't have before. But you got to take advantage of that, because that means geography has disappeared. So now you can do business anywhere in the world with this sort of thing. And it's phenomenal what's opened up with this stuff. So virtual will stay. Now, but simple things, I don't want to see going forward a mix of virtual and live, because one will overpower the other. If there's more people at a live networking event than there are online, the online people will feel left out. So do one or the other, or do both, but do them separately.
Right. Okay, lovely. A couple of questions here. So somebody said, how would you turn an events company? Because I know you mentioned about events there. How would you turn it now? Because they specialize in award ceremonies of circa 500 people, and we're not going to get to those sorts of events now. So what would you be recommending they look at?
Well, I would be looking at how you can do 500 people at an event that does it that way. My kids' school, we just turned their whole graduation ceremony into a drive-by graduation ceremony. We rented out the Speedway, and we got 300 kids all in cars going through a drive-by graduation ceremony. So you got to look at how you can spin it. But here's the thing. You're an events company, right? Stop thinking of yourself an events company for 500 people. Stop thinking of yourself an events company for award ceremony. Start thinking of yourself as an events company. What events will still be happening? What events will there still be where you're going to be able to do that? And this is where I go back to that pivot thing. What is still selling in the event space? Do they need? See, can you become the best at running 500 people events online? How many companies now need to run events online that have no freaking clue how to do that, that have no clue how to run proper Zoom meetings where they've got this, and this with 50 speakers on a Zoom thing? Now, can you become the expert in helping companies do that? Do you have the technology? And this is where you got to sometimes broaden the market of what you're in. You're in the business of selling events to people. Great. You got a sales company. What else can you sell? What else can you sell? It's a virtual product. Sometimes you just got to change the whole business. The business disappeared. If you are in the CD business, manufacturing a CD business back 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was that they disappeared, you're out of business overnight. So either you fold your business up, or you go, okay, CDs don't happen no more. What else can we manufacture? You've got to be thinking much bigger in your scope. People are trying to say, well, we're not going back to the new normal. Great, create the next thing.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So, sort of linked to that, we've got a question from someone who's self-employed. They're a barber, and they're about to eventually go back to reopening. A couple of months still in the UK. I don't know about you over there, but
I would auction. Yeah, we opened barbershops and hairdressers like 2 days ago.
Right. And so, what would you do for him? What should he be doing? He works on.
I would auction off my first week's sales. I would auction off my first week's haircuts right now. Day one. You want to buy day one? Put a bid in for day one. You want to buy day two? Put a bid in for day two. You want to buy day three? Bid day three. You know, because I look at it. My wife's hairdresser. She's a friend of his, and I just said to him, dude, you got to sell week one for like triple the price. Just triple the price for week one and book them in and say, week one, if you want to be in there. He's 12 hours a day right now. He's just cutting and he's triple the price. He's just said to everyone, you want week one? This is the deal. You want week two? It's double the price. Week three, I'll be back to normal prices. You know, and no one cares. No one's upset. They're all like, yeah, I get that. You've made no money for the last 8 weeks. We're happy to pay you triple. You know what I mean? But you've got to launch that business back into business. Don't be doing any cash register work. Don't be doing any phone answering. Do as I said, the other thing. You got to have people do that. Employ people to do the stupid stuff so that all you do is the making money stuff.
Yeah, great. And so sort of linked to that, there's a massage treatment business on here, and they say, well, where do we go now to keep running and serving our customers and also make a profit? So this is a pivot sort of question, I think, again.
Yeah, again, first thing I'm going to say to both of you, if you haven't sat with Sean and actually planned this stuff out, you better do that tomorrow, all right? Or whenever he's got time. But what I'm looking at with the massage business is it's going to come back. It's going to be there. But what you have to actually be thinking about is what are the new protocols that come in with that? For example, my wife went to get her nails done yesterday, and they literally, in the 8 weeks they were shut down, they built acrylic walls between every customer and between every person working in the place. They literally built these things to do it. So when you're going to a massage business, okay, people bring their own sheets now. Like our masseuse came over yesterday. We use our own table, our own sheets, our own linens, our own everything. She comes in, has the mask, the whole thing. It's just, what are the new protocols? And this is where marketing-wise, safety, cleanliness, security, removing worry, this is what you're marketing today. You're not marketing, we're the cheapest massage place or the best masseuse. We are the safest freaking masseuse in the world. We will do that sort of stuff. Shift your marketing to safety, security, cleanliness.
Great. So we've had a couple of industries over here where it's been hard to source the products you need to be able to run your business. So
supply chains are drying up.
Any ideas? Yeah, any ideas about how we overcome that at the moment, where our products in demand? Right.
Be that business. If you were sourcing it from someone, that means everyone else is sourcing it and they're not getting it. So you were sourcing it from China or India or someplace that you were getting it from. Hey, make it now in the UK. Be the business that if you can't get it in your supply chain, no one else can get it either. So as long as it's not a short-term thing, like, you know, here in the US, meat packaging facilities, you know, they've had challenges because they all live. I mean, they run this business with minimum wage. They all live on top of each other. So as soon as one got it, everybody got it. And that's a short-term problem of getting that sort of thing. They're going to have to start paying decent wages and put people 6 feet apart. But these are some of the things that you're going to do. But I look for the opportunity in that, not the negative in that.
Yeah. Okay. So sort of, again, linked to that, and I know it's a billionaire in training sort of question, which is actually my favorite book of yours. So there is a question here about starting a business right now. So where would you be saying they go? Don't start one,
buy one. You know, go out and find one that's been run badly and take that over type thing. Go and find one where, you know, it's a hairdressing salon. They went into furlough and they didn't have enough money to reopen. Dang, there's going to be a billion of those things out there. How many companies are there going to be that just didn't have enough finances to stay and they're not even going to reopen? And you can walk into the landlord and just buy that thing. Heck, there's deals everywhere coming up in the next 3 months of people that just didn't come to Action Coach. Let me be blunt about that. They didn't come to us. They didn't do all the training. They didn't read the books, and they're going to get beat up from that sort of stuff. And I feel sorry for them, but we gave enough stuff away for free that there was help there for them if they wanted it. So that to me, but that's where the deals are coming.
And sort of this is one to get a bit under the skin of Brad Sugars. Someone's asked, what's the most inspirational book you have read? So not the ones you've written, but the ones you've read.
Inspirational. See, I'm an educator, not an inspirer. I'm an educator, not a motivator. If I look at an inspiring book. See, for inspiration, I watch movies. I watch the life of people in a movie. Dang. Who's inspired me in a book? You know, the Goggins one, You Can't Hurt. I think that's sort
David Goggins.
Yeah, I think that's sort of probably the more inspiring one. But I'm not a reader of inspiration. I'm a reader of education. So yeah, that's a tough question for me. I haven't thought about that one.
I mean, it's just interesting. I talk to my clients. I give them a copy of Jim Rohn's book, and I know that you sort of had a.
I was listening to him on my swim 2 days ago. I had Jim Rohn on my swim.
Yeah, I think he's a great read as well. And I know that you'd had you'd sort of been.
Yeah, I went back to some old classics. I listened to Jim Rohn on my swim the other day, and before that, I was listening to Reverend Ike, Dr. Frederick Ike Kerencotter. He's passed away a long time ago, but his books was Magnetize Your Mind for Money. You know, if you can ever find a copy of it, if it's still for sale, Reverend Ike, Magnetize Your Mind for Money, because a lot of us grew up with that whole church thing of money's bad and money's the root of all evil, and that was me. You know, Sunday school. I got kicked out of Sunday school, so I'm glad about that. But these are the things that I had to learn too.
Somebody has said.
Reverend said, "For the love of money it's not the love of money that is evil; it's the lack of money that is evil." And he'd teach it from that perspective. So I loved him for it.
Somebody said that it's you didn't mention my book there, Millennial, Brad. I mean, as the inspiration. That's one of my clients. I will have a word with him after this. Don't you worry.
Well, it's my job to sell my stuff, not yours. There you go.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one.
I have to bounce and get on my next webinar.
Absolutely, no worries.
Take care. Thank you, Sean.
Brilliant.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Sean, I just want to give you kudos for helping everyone. Keep doing it out there, buddy. I really appreciate the work you're doing and how you're helping everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Brilliant. And thank you for your time this evening. All right. Take care. Thanks, Brad. Bye-bye. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for coming on the webinar. I hope you found it really useful. As always, Brad has a lot to say about business, as you can hear. Some really good pearls of wisdom. The thing is always with a call with Brad, there's a load of actions for me to take afterwards. So we will be sending out to you over the next 24 hours an email which details the link to be able to watch this video. We'll also be talking, I'll send you the link to his marketing talk that he gave recently, plus also his video on leadership and management, plus also he's got the 10-day free program. We'll send you a link to that so you can get registered and get started with some of the learning on that. Again, if you've taken a screenshot and you post your comments and you tag me and you tag Brad in, the one that has the most engagement that I see on LinkedIn, by the end of the weekend, will get a copy of Brad's book, Pulling Profits, from me to you. And also, if you haven't yet taken a time slot with me to go through a Survive plan for your business over the next 90 days, then please do get in touch with me. It's calendly.com/Sean Purcell. That's calendly.com/Sean Purcell. And I'm really happy to spend some time with you talking about some of the stuff that you've heard tonight, but also helping you create a plan that is really useful for you in the coming weeks and months. So we'll stay in touch. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Hope you got real value from it, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.